Hi guys, welcome to another video here on my channel. If you've not seen any of these videos before, I'm an approved driving instructor here in the UK, and if it's your first time to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on that bell notification so you get all the new videos that we're going to be dropping. So let's get into the video. Welcome back everybody, you're back here on my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 10 secrets and myths that I've heard about the driving test. So most of you out there won't have done it before, so I'm just going to run through the top 10 things that I get asked, that people talk to me about, that I get questioned on for the driving test. Number 1. Only so many people can pass a test at certain times of the day, certain days of the week. If you get a test at the last day of the month, you won't pass. It is all rubbish. Let me tell you, every examiner comes to every single test with their pass test certificate in the back of their little wallets where you'll see them holding them. And every examiner comes with one of them to a driving test. So all you've got to do is prove to them you deserve it and you will be able to pass. Get out of your head that certain examiners and certain days and certain times will fail you. You have the option to pass every single test, any time of the day, any day of the week, any day in the month. Number 2, what are your priorities for passing the driving test? And there is 2 that you have to consider above everything else that you do on the driving test. These 2 are the pillars of what make you a good driver and what will make you be able to pass that driving test. So the first one is safety. That is the main priority. You are trying to show the examiner that you are going to be independently safe so that you can deal with any situation that comes up on your own safely and comfortably. Following on from that, the second part of this is observations. Everything you do, you need to make sure you're observant of what is going on all around you, behind you, both sides, in your mirrors, over your blind spots. Most people that I see that have failed tests generally will come back to one or both of those points, safety and observations. And normally they've not looked for something and then try to do what they feel is safe, but it's not safe because they've not looked and they don't know that there's another car there or they don't know there's a pedestrian there. Number 3, how are faults marked on the driving test? Well, it's very simple. You have 3 categories. You have a driver fault, you have a serious fault, and you have a dangerous fault. If you get a clump of those driver faults in one section, say 5, 6, it shows that it's a habit that you have, it's a bad habit that you have. That on itself then becomes a serious, depending on which fault it is. And one serious mark will fail you your driving test, and one dangerous mark will fail you the driving test. The difference between serious and dangerous is the fact that a serious fault on that occasion didn't necessarily cause anything dangerous, but in a slightly different situation, an extra car being there, a pedestrian being there, a slight difference in the way that you move the wheel, anything could potentially make that a dangerous fault for the next one. And a dangerous fault generally is where the examiners had to intervene, whether they've had to brake, steer, they've had to tell you to stop on multiple occasions and then they've had to stop for you. That becomes a dangerous fault. A dangerous fault is quite rare because generally most people that go for the driving test should be at a level where the examiners aren't needing to use the pedals or whatever. But the same fault can be marked in all 3 categories. So if you consider stalling, one of the biggest bugbearers of a lot of students when they start to learn to drive is, what if I stall the car? Well, if you're at the side of the road, you've just been asked to stop and you've been asked to move off again and you stall the car, well, that's just going to be a driver fault. It's a driver fault for control. If you stall the car at a set of busy traffic lights and you've got a long queue of cars behind you and it takes you quite a while to get the car started again, so the lights actually go from red to green and back to red again, Well, that's then going to be a serious, because you're going to be affecting all those other road users there. So that will become a serious. The same thing, stalling. If you're on a very busy multi-lane roundabout, you've gone into it in the wrong gear and it ends up stalling the car, that will be a dangerous, because you're in a very dangerous position at that point. So every single driver fault that can be marked on the test could become a serious, could become a dangerous. It all depends on the situation and where it happens. Number 4, confidence, not cockiness. So what you want to do with the drive is you want to go there with the confidence that you can deal with any situation that comes up. We don't want you to turn there and be arrogant that you're the best driver in the world, because let me tell you, you are not going to be the best driver in the world. And the examiners see on roughly 7 or 8 people a day, 5 days a week. So they're seeing 35 to 40 people a week. How many of them are absolutely phenomenal drivers? Probably very, very few. So don't go there with an arrogant attitude that, yeah, I'm the best driver in the world, you can't fail me because I'm going to be absolutely perfect. But you do want to go in with a serious sense of confidence. If something comes up that's a bit more difficult or a bit more of a struggle for you to deal with, have the confidence in your own ability that you can deal with it, and you can deal with it safely and observantly. So confidence, not cockiness. Number 5, drive the whole test knowing or believing that you have the chance to pass. Don't think just because you've done something silly or daft that that's it, you've failed your test. I have seen in the past a few students where they've made a silly little error, which to a certain extent was just a driver fault. And they've thought to themselves, I've failed my test, I can't do this. They then drive ridiculously bad on the way back to the test centre. They might have only been 5 minutes away from the test centre. And when they get back to the test centre, you can hear the examiners saying, what happened to you with this? Well, I thought I'd failed. Well, you got a driver fault for it. But the 3 serious faults you got after it because you ran a red light, or you did this, or you did that, because you had in your head, oh, I don't care, I failed now, actually are what failed you the test. So don't go into a driving test and don't go halfway round it and then think, oh, I've done this, I've screwed up, I've failed. Just forget it. Until you're back at the test centre, your engine's off, and the examiner's said what your result is, then you can assume, then you know whether you've passed or you've not. But always drive until you stop that engine at the very end of the test. Always drive with that thought in your mind, I can pass, I can pass. I've got the ability to pass. I've got the chance to pass. Number 6. Do not rush. The examiners are not after the fastest driver in the world. And do not rush. If you're not sure about a situation, you've got parked cars on your side of the road and you're not sure if you can fit, slow it down. Have a look at the situation. Give yourself the time to deal with everything that comes up. And do not think, just because you're on a 30-mile-an-hour road, I've got to get up to 30 and I've got to stay there. If you've got parked cars, if it's a narrow road, if somebody pulls out on you, you don't have to. Drive to the situations of the road and do not rush anything that comes up in front of you. Take it in your time and nice and calmly. Number 7. Find your own way that you deal with nerves. I'm sure at some time in your life you've come across some sort of test, exam, something where you're marked and you've got nervous, but you've found a way to deal with your nerves. Find what suits you best. And if you want some tips, I've got another video which has got some helpful hints on how to deal with anxiety when driving, nerves of the test. So go and have a look at that video and see if anything on there can help you with it. Number 8. Take the right documentation. You need to take your driving licence, and you should always also take your theory certificate. Most examiners and most exams now, most driving tests, they won't ask for it because it's all done electronically. But the last thing you'd want is to turn up with your driving licence, you're beaming, you're bouncing, you're ready to pass this test, and they say that there's been an issue with the computer system. Have you got your theory test certificate with you? Like it tells you to take with you in your confirmation email. You say no, they won't take you out. You've got a smaller chance of them taking you out. So make sure you take your driving license and your theory certificate. Worst comes to worst, your theory certificate sits in the car whilst you're doing your driving test. At least you've got it. And the other thing I would say about your driving license, a lot of you will have signed it 4 or 5 years ago. If there's a signature on it, some of them don't come with signatures anymore. But if there's still a signature on it, the examiner's going to ask you to sign your driving test report, and they check it against your license. So just give yourself that little bit of time to just practice that signature again, especially if you've changed it since you signed up for the driving license. Number 9, listen to the examiner. There is a lot of times they're going to be giving you instructions that are actually designed to help you deal with a situation. A roundabout, for example, you'll be told which exit and which direction to take. So if you're told which direction to take, you know which indicator to put on, and then all you've got to do is get in the right lane and count your exits off and make sure you're coming off it safely. When they're saying to you, can you pull up on the left when it's safe to do so? That's safe to do so. It's used a lot in the driving test. It's your chance to take your own opinion, your own thoughts, and think, right, it's not necessarily safe here to do it. I've got double yellow lines, I've got single yellow lines, I've got loads of driveways here, I can't necessarily stop. So find yourself somewhere safe. They're not saying to you, stop now, you must stop here. They're not telling you that. They may say to you, could you stop on the left behind that car that's over there? Just ignore the driveways for me, so you know that you can stop safely there. Come to the show me questions. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you would whatever? Doesn't mean do it right this second. Get yourself into a comfortable position. If you're going around a corner and they're wanting you to wash the windscreen, get yourself out of the corner, check your mirrors, make sure that you're safe, and then wash your windscreen. They want you to sound your horn and you're sat at a red set of traffic lights and you've got a load of people crossing in front of you. Not necessarily the safest place to sound your horn, so wait till you get moving, it's clear, pop your horn on. So don't rush it. It comes back to that, don't rush it. And listen to what the examiner's telling you. They will be giving you little hints along the way if you listen to the words that they use. Finally, number 10. Take control of the situation. You're the driver. You're in the driving seat. What would you do if you weren't on a driving test here? What would you do in this situation? You've got a bus in front of you that's stopped at a bus stop, like buses do. What would you do if you were on your own? Would you drop back, have a look out, see if you can fit? If you can't fit, you'd stop. Or would you just rush up behind it and then think, oh, there's a bus stop, right, I've got to figure this out now, which is what a lot of people do on their test. So take control of the situation. Plan what you can see in front of you as early as physically possible and take control of it. You are the driver, you are in control, and you show that to the examiner by dealing with every situation that comes up in a time that's comfortable for you without rushing or taking risks. So that's my top 10 myths and secrets for passing your driving test. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If it is your first time watching, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell so that we can make sure that you don't miss any videos in the future. If there's anything I've not said in there that you want to know about the driving test, pop it in the comments below. I'll have a look through it and I'll do you a video. Also, if there's any other videos that you think I could do, anything that you want help with on the driving test, drop me a comment below, message me on Facebook. I'll happily help where I can. So good luck, everybody, with your driving tests out there. When you do pass, make sure you drive safe, and I'll see you on the road in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.